Our next story is from Sri Lanka, and this is a very important week for them. The first anniversary of the anti-Rajapaksa protest. You may remember these pictures. The presidential palace in Colombo was overrun. Protesters were lounging inside. Then President Gotabaya Rajapaksa was on the run. That was a tricky moment for Sri Lanka. It was a 50-50 situation. Anything could have happened. The country could have descended into absolute anarchy, or it could have rebuilt with patience. Thankfully, the latter happened. Sri Lanka is on the road to recovery. It's not like the economy is booming, but at least there is political and social stability, and India has played a key role in that. New Delhi gave Sri Lanka assistance worth $4 billion. It also batted for Colombo at the International Monetary Fund, the IMF. So it's now time for the next step, to rebuild the economy. India's Foreign Secretary Vinay Quatra landed in Colombo on Monday. His mission is twofold. One, to review the progress of Indian projects. And two, chart out President Ranil Wickremesinghe's trip to India. He is expected to arrive later this month on the 21st of July. It's his first trip to India after taking office last year. Quite the delay, in fact. He was invited by Foreign Minister Jaishankar in January, but for 6 months the trip did not happen. Now, Wickremesinghe is no stranger in New Delhi. He's been Prime Minister 5 times. He's engaged with multiple Indian governments in the past, but this time the stakes are much higher. So what does the Sri Lankan president hope to achieve? Well, two things. One is getting money from India, and two, addressing India's concerns about China. Let's deal with the first one first. Sri Lanka needs financial support, the restructuring of loans. It is hoping for Indian investment, especially in energy, power and ports, and these are all crucial sectors. Both sides are keen on Trincomalee. It's a city in northeastern Sri Lanka. It is already home to a harbour. India and Sri Lanka are looking to convert it into a major port. On Sunday, an Indian diplomat in Colombo promised to keep supporting Sri Lanka. He said India will play a constructive role. So that's one agenda item. Wickremesinghe's second job is on China, to convince New Delhi of its position. Colombo says it is not interested in camp politics. It wants to be neutral between India and China. But will India accept that? The Chinese have not abandoned their plans in Sri Lanka. They're back in the mix. Companies like China Harbour Corp and Sinopec are eyeing investments. Sinopec has already been shortlisted for a project, a $4 billion refinery near Hambantota. The fact is, Colombo needs China's help. Around 20% of their debt is owed to Beijing. So without them, there is no restructuring or rebuilding, and China knows that too. All of Sri Lanka's creditors have created a joint forum, sort of like a single window to renegotiate the debt. But guess who's staying away? The Chinese. They have refused to join the other creditors. They want to work out their own deal. It's fishy even by China's standards. So Wickremesinghe needs to convince New Delhi about the China factor. And all of this discussion is based on a very important assumption, the assumption that Sri Lanka will recover. Other countries can only help. In the end, Sri Lanka will have to do the heavy lifting. And there's a problem. A lot of Sri Lankans are leaving the country. Around 150,000 Sri Lankans have left since January. The government says 300,000 people will have left by the end of this year, 2023. It's an exodus. Many of these people are going to Gulf countries, and the result is this. There is a labour shortage in Sri Lanka. Doctors, nurses, engineers, construction workers, all of them are in short supply. And without them, recovery will be tough. We talked about ports and refinery projects. You need people to build and operate them. So this brain drain and this loss of labour could derail the rebuilding process. What can Colombo do? They've already announced a plan to restructure domestic debt. The next step is to negotiate with foreign lenders. If all goes well, the IMF will help them. A $3 billion bailout has been struck. After a review in September, that money could be released. It's all about speed and time now. Wickremesinghe says it will be a long and hard road to recovery. But will his people stay around for the bitter pill?